like once it comes up.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another wonderful Monday night show of Chewin the BBQ Fat. We've got an incredible show lined up, guys. I'm excited again for another great guest that we've been able to have on. Not only do we have the number one team in the country with Aaron with Man Meat Barbecue, we also have Chris Schaefer, probably one of the hottest teams in barbecue, coming on with Heavy Smoke Work. I mean, we're so excited, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for all you do. Aaron, before I introduce you or let you introduce yourself, guys, like the page, share the page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, see what we can do. See if we can get some people watching this show, though. But make sure you share the live feed. So, Aaron, welcome to the show, man.
Well, thanks, Brian. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Introduce yourself a little bit. I know everybody knows who you are, but I want people to have an opportunity to go ahead and thank for all you do.
Yeah, Aaron Stopper. This is Reagan. Mini Meat involved in now, and then Christy, my wife. Yeah, Man Meat Barbecue. We've been cooking since 2014 on the circuit, and some pretty good success here recently.
Yeah, I would say so. You're ranked number one in the. You're ranked number one right now in KCBS. Am I correct?
We are. If this other guy over here will let me have that for a little while.
You're doing fine. You're gonna hold me off, no problem.
That's awesome. Well, Chris, you're the other guy that's coming after him, right? So tell a little bit about yourself, bud.
Well, there's quite a few. Me and Aaron were talking about this weekend. This year's kind of fun because there's a whole handful of people that are actually chasing it. But we're fourth right now in the country. But I got some pretty terrible finishes to I'm calling those COVID finishes. But I'm chasing that man down.
That's awesome. I mean, we'll get into it in a second, but real quick, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago, you double granded? I don't know where you were. Can't remember.
I was in Eureka, Illinois.
That's right.
That Eureka comp replaced the Peoria because the Peoria's on the riverfront and the city shut them down this year. So they moved it like 20 miles away to Eureka, Illinois and made it a double. And I cooked really well in that area and I score really well. I actually won Peoria last year and then won both days of Eureka this year. So that was a good drive home.
I bet it was, man. And then was this before or after you had your house fire?
After. Yeah, the fire was, let me look at the date. The fire was dang near 2 months ago now.
Was it really? Wow. I tell you what, it was really cool to see how the barbecue community came together, and from on the outside looking in. You could probably say a little bit more to that than I can. But I was just seeing how many people was stepping up and praying for you and looking out for you and trying to help you out in all ways.
That was cool. My buddy Brian Payton from me in St. Louis, he put something together and he was like, well, let's just raise him a couple dollars to try to get by because he knows how hard it is. You don't have that insurance money and stuff right off the bat. And he made a group on Facebook and it just started growing and growing and growing. I think somebody added Aaron and then Aaron added like 400 people or something like he does, But I'm usually the first guy to like try to step up and help somebody, and so it felt real weird being on the other side of it. But the barbecue family took care of me good.
Awesome, that's good. So, Aaron, what did you do to step in? You stepped in and helped out a little bit on that too.
Oh, I think Brian added me, and then just donated it to everybody on his list, and then that post kind of blew up. I actually had to ignore it for a little bit because I wasn't getting any sleep. Kept adding more and more. It was crazy to see barbecue community step up. And I know Chris is a really humble guy and really didn't want to take or accept anybody's money, but just that time frame between thing happening and insurance kicking, just a little.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, I made the joke. My wife's like, man, she's like, I feel bad doing this. There's a lot of people like worse off than us. And I was like, well, I said, we got a small business getting ruined by COVID. I was like, I just found I'm losing my job and our house burnt down. I said, babe, things aren't good.
You're right. I mean, perspective is on everything, and it's seems to be going crazy right now. Um, but are you back on your feet now, or is everything getting better?
Oh yeah, I'm rolling, man. We're doing great.
Good, awesome. Glad to hear that. All right. Well, Aaron, tell me a little bit about what you've got going on in the barbecue world right now.
Well, we are just kind of coincidentally. Of course, we've had some success cooking, but we're finally. It's been a long process. We're finally releasing some rub coming up this weekend, and we thought we'd get our sauce out first, and it's been in production since October, and we're the rub came up in April. We started producing that, and now it's finally actually going to be out in Chris's neck of the woods picking up our first order, and we'll be on store shelves at King Grilling Company this year.
Awesome, nice. So tell us a little bit about them. What kind of rubs do you have going on?
Well, just looking at really two all-purpose rubs. One's Kansas City style. We use on rib, pork, really using on anything. I mean, we were using it on some pork rinds for particular. It's that traditional Kansas City flavor. Yes, sweet with a little heat on the back end. I think it's sweeter than the other one. The other one's a Texas style, more peppery. Actually, the Texas style has been our go-to for chicken, and since we started running on chicken, we got 3 first-place finishes, a 5th. So it's really kind of changed, and that's our chicken game. And I mean, it's our brisket that now killing chicken.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Good. Chris, have you tried them?
I've used them. They're good. They're good. I'm excited about the sauces, though. I mean, I've got rubs that I use, so I'm not moving anything over. But his sauces are going to go immediately into my my arsenal when they get out.
What kind of sauces do you have, Aaron?
We got 3. The one that is used on all 4 categories for us, a sweet smoke, and that's our first one that we'll come out with. And we have a tangy Tennessee vinegar base. It's primarily in our wrap for our ribs and our pork, great on pork. Or Randy Van Slyke, High IQ, he tried it. He's like, man, this would be a great salad dressing. And we threw it on a salad. And it's pretty but we also have a spicy that we use on brisket. So we're trying to get them all out. The process on the sauce is a little longer.
Gotcha. Aaron, are you a can cooker as well? Aaron, you cook on cans, I do believe.
Yeah, right out of trash cans.
Nice. It was cool. I had the opportunity last year to meet Aaron at the Royal. We were neighbors cooking the American Royal together, and we were talking about this before we got there. It was my first time cooking it, and I had no clue what was going on. I didn't know anything that was going on, so I didn't have that much time to talk to you, but I did get to meet you and introduce myself to you. And I mean, just a great time. Great. You have a family that you cook with also, like we do. We have a lot of people out there in the family coming out, but it's kind of fun. I mean, we got Kids Q coming up this weekend, and I think Chris, I believe your kids might do Kids Q with you. I think I've seen some pictures. I don't know, but
she's just getting into it. I just got her a set of grill grates for her grill. We're practicing.
Okay, maybe that's what I saw some pictures on Facebook. But I love it. I love the family aspect, bringing everybody out together and having a good time. We get to cook this weekend at Hagen on Lanier and Cumming. So if anybody's looking to cook this weekend, I know it's not too late to sign up. Stan Kaminsky's on. If you want to cook this weekend, looking for a place to go, come on out to Georgia. Cook a contest. It'll be a good time. But anyway,
join that might be going down there.
Who's that?
Looks like Matt just joined.
Oh, what's up, Matt? Good to
Sure,
see you,
he's going to
bud.
be finding a comp this weekend. There's not a lot around here.
Come here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Matt. Now I see Matt just joined on. What's up, Matt? Hope you're doing well. So I want to talk to you. I know, Chris, you kind of brought it up at the beginning of this that you're in fourth, I think, fourth, you said. And Aaron, you're in first place in team of the year. And I think we were talking earlier how close it is and how many people are going to be coming after this. So Aaron, you're on top right now, right? So you got the bullseye on you. What kind of, do you feel any pressure? What is your goal? What is your game plan moving forward for the rest of the year to hold all these people off coming after you?
Well, I can tell you it's probably going to be the hardest year in team of the year, just with as many people right there. I think it's going to be an exciting race. But I would say, though, this last weekend when we cooked, anxiety levels are a lot higher. It's a lot different being the chase than doing it. On the way home, that it's way more comfortable chasing somebody than trying to figure out how to maintain that spot or keep that lead. We just have to cook our cook, put our blinders on, and run. And we've been fortunate enough that we've had a pretty successful consistent cook. That all came barbecue. Looking forward to it.
Good. So, Chris, while you're on here, what are your plans to try and go after Aaron? I mean, are you going to cook as much as you can? And even if it wasn't Aaron, I know y'all are really good friends, right? So if there's anybody, I mean, as somebody that's chasing, what is your mindset going into a contest?
I don't know if you guys see my dog get in here. I think she just wanted to see Ray. Honestly, like points. When people say, "Oh, I'm chasing points," it's kind of a weird thing. Like you're always chasing points to an extent. Like we're all just cooking a lot of comps and trying to cook good food and get lucky. You know what I mean? So my goal is I'm gonna try to cook every weekend. If I can, I'll hit the doubles when I can. And like Aaron said, just have our cook and hope we get some good tables and we win some comps is really the name of the game. I mean, we're gonna have 25, 28 cooks in for the year, where a lot of years it's like, 3 guys cooked 40 and they're running at it. But this year there's going to be a whole lot of people that can get 25, 30 comps in. So there's going to be 10, 15 teams in the mix at the end of this thing. And there's a lot of teams now that only got 7, 8 cooks under their belt and they take the top 10. So where me and Aaron are 1 and 4, I mean, within a couple of weeks, we could be 4 and 7 because of somebody getting to 10 cooks, like a guy like Joe with Slaps, he was cooking hot, but he doesn't have all of his cooks yet. So there's a couple of dark horses out there that no one's really paying attention to that could catch us real fast.
That's pretty cool. Aaron, I think we're having issues with your audio. So I don't know if you have headsets or something that you could put on to.
Well, the Britney thing. Go ahead.
There you go. Wes Garrett wants to know if your dad was a separate cook team, how would he fare?
So my dad's the hardest working guy on barbecue. Everyone watches him run the pits and go crazy. He's always out there in the heat. I mean, you can ask Aaron. Nobody works harder than my dad in barbecue, but he doesn't have a clue what is in a single recipe or anything. But I tell you what, man, he's gotten to the point where he cooks a lot at home, and he's made ribs and he's whisked with chicken. He's done a lot of that stuff at home where he makes some damn good barbecue. So. I keep trying to get him to cook a backyard. And I was like, you think they'd let him cook a backyard? And my buddies are all like, he's a world champion. He's not allowed to cook backyard. So, but I actually, my buddy Brian from me in St. Louis, his dad, and him, he cooks with his dad. I've been trying to get our dads to team up for a competition under the name We're Too Old for This Shit. Let's see how that goes.
Nice. So Travis Moore says he'll throw another comp if needed. We already talked about another one before year end. Which one did Travis put on? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Travis did the weekend in Lane, Kansas.
Okay. So
I think I got a really good idea for Travis. So Travis was trying to squeeze one in October, which October is really full. I think Travis should do one the first weekend in November. It would count for 2021, and it would give all of us a tune-up before the Invitational, the KCBS Invitational. So, Travis, if you're listening, man, I think that's a good idea.
So when does the season end? What is the season now?
October 31st.
So October 31st is when it ends. Yeah. And guys, if we're
Right.
still having audio issues, let me know, but it sounds a lot better to me. So,
Okay.
Yeah, Aaron's better.
Well, so we were talking a little bit about this beforehand. How many contests, Aaron, do you have left on your schedule?
I looked it up, 15. The only weekend I think is this coming weekend that we're not cooking.
Man, you know there's a contest in Georgia, right?
I know. I got to drive out to St. Louis.
I tried to talk my dad into it, and he would do it, but I didn't want to push him. We're going camping as a family next week. We're leaving on Monday, and then going all week, and then I'm cooking that following weekend. So he didn't like the idea of driving. I think it was 9 hours for me, maybe, to Georgia, and then driving back like Sunday, and then leaving on Monday. So he would do it, but I ain't that worried about it. Also, I don't cook in Georgia much, so there's a really good chance I drive down there and spend a ton of money and get my butt kicked and just come back mad anyways.
Hey, it's just Georgia down here. We like peaches, right? Isn't that what Myron always says? So,
That's
right. Go with Myron. He knows what he's talking about.
And food with handles.
Exactly. Man, I tell you what, it's going to be crazy things are happening, and it's like Travis was saying. He's talking about he's already putting up another contest. So I was talking to I think it was Matt this morning about the contest either going away. There's not many left, but I feel like you're going to see a lot of new contests just pop up, and you got to be willing to jump on them, I guess. I don't know, but Aaron, you had 15 left, and Chris, you said you had 16 contests left. So yeah. So there's a lot of contests left to be had, right? I mean,
Sure.
There's a lot of chasing, Aaron. You better put your shoes on and start running, man. You got to.
Oh, it is crazy, and we have always gone the route that we're going to cook what we can, but really want to we're not going to go too far out of our way. I mean, I know we flew to North Carolina last year, did a double out there, and then drove down to Texas chasing ribs, right at the end of the season, trying to jockey for that last position. But I don't know that this year it's just what it is. Given the fact that we have a hard stop, there aren't any of those floater weekends like you do in November, December. Everybody's going to be cooking, and it'll be fun. I mean, I can't say it enough or stress it enough that this is just, with what's going on, it's going to be a really exciting chase.
I think it is, and that's what's kind of cool is you're seeing, and as you were saying earlier, Chris, there's a lot of people in this. There's a lot of people that like you said, haven't got their 10 cooks in yet, that haven't done things, and you never know. You never know who's going to come out. So I mean, it makes you as a top cook in the country, guys out there like you two that are out there chasing the points. You can't give up, right? I mean, it's you get into it and you got to go. But that's really cool. I don't get to cook as much, but I love watching it and I love following it and talking about it. That's one thing that we get to do here on Chewin the BBQ Fat is I get to talk to you guys that are out there chasing it, that are out there in the middle of it, and y'all can come out there and talk about it and tell everybody what's going on. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
The other thing too is the points are so close, like by about this time last year, Matt had the point scale maxed out and couldn't be passed. But I don't know, Aaron, I don't know if you know the point spread, but I think there's like 200 points maybe that separates Aaron and maybe the 8th place team. It's something like that, So this weekend I got a 9th, which, isn't that great in the grand scheme of things, but I was able to pass a team picking up like 30 points, So with the points being so tight, man, it's like there's going to be a lot of movement from week to week. And if you miss a week, like me and Aaron not cooking in Georgia, we could do a lot of damage to us this weekend by, Matt or Kelly or Brad, any of those guys. They go down there and they GC or RGC this thing. Me and Eric both drop a couple spots.
I'm going to see if I can't share the screen here. But the points, I don't know if I can do it or not. No.
I seen Tom in the comments said cooking on what? We're both can cooks. What's funny about us being can cooks, we cooked next to each other this weekend so our daughters could share the pool, and we just like kept coming out at the same time. And I check my pork, he's checking his pork. Actually, at one point I go, "Is your brisket done?" He goes, "No, I don't check it for another 15 minutes." I go, "Oh, well, mine's done." And so he got in there and probed it and goes, "It's done, thank you."
Yeah. Yeah, and it was good enough for third, I think, this weekend. So
yeah, I got 15th. I should have let you run with it.
That's awesome.
Could have had overcooked brisket.
So Aaron, you got 21-18, Boomerangs at 1946, and then you got BS at 1898 and Heavy Smoke at 1895, and then 1877, 1862. So getting basic 4 legs up, man, it looks, what is that, top 6? Y'all are all right there and together.
Yeah.
And then I got my boy Paul, Rooters and Tutors, and Robert at Smoke Me Silly coming in right behind you.
Does Paul even have 10 cooks from Rooters and Tutors?
I think he does.
I'm gonna look it up.
I don't know. My boy Paul, he's Paul and Lynn. Love those guys. They're going to be in Georgia this weekend. Robert's going to be in Georgia. So we got quite a few of the top coming in to Georgia this weekend. Travis Duffy wants to know how many. I'll ask both of y'all. How many GCs do you think the Team of the Year winner will have this year? What's your best guess?
6.
I say 7.
6 or 7. Nice.
And I'm a long way. Here's the thing, Chris is already halfway there. I am a long way away from that. So we have our work to do.
Well, you got what, a GC and an RGC?
We've got a GC, 2 RGCs, and 2 thirds.
Here's the thing, though. This is one of the first years that RGCs are going to come into play. I mean, you could legitimately win Team of the Year if Aaron had 1 GC and 7 RGCs, for example, and some thirds. He'd be hard to pass. I mean, a guy with 6 GCs and then his next one's a 4th. I mean, that's a big difference.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what's crazy right now. There's not a ton of contests available moving forward, right? I mean, 16 contests is still a lot, but I don't think you're going to see the 50 contests hit this year by the team, but in the past, right? So
in previous years, it's a race to 10. Who can get to 10 the fastest? And usually it's 10 max point GCs to get there. But I've got 3. Aaron, I guess everyone's probably the highest have 3 GCs, right? Brad's got 3. I think
Boone's got 3.
Boone's got 3.
Yeah.
I think B has 2. And does Kelly have 1 or 2? Either way, I mean, the highest team right now has 3. Well, with 16 comps left, you got to win 7 out of 16 to get to 10. I just don't think that's realistic, no matter how crazy you're cooking.
You know what's scary is that if and I don't know if he's watching or not, but Sterling Ball, if he would start cooking, if he had more comps, he's got 3 GCs and an RGC, 5 cooks, and he's sitting at 14. So
I had Sterling on my podcast, and he said he thinks his season's over. He doesn't think really anything's happening in California in that area.
Yeah.
He doesn't even think he's going to get to 10 comps. If he did, though, it'd be scary because the dude was obviously cooking out of his mind.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that too. I mean, I think he was in the lower categories of Mount Cooked, and he was up top. I was like, holy smokes, he's going to be on fire. He's going to be hard to beat. If he does, like you say, the question's going to be who can cook 10? Who's going to be willing to get out there and go to these different places? And yeah, it's a crazy year. A team like Shake and Bake could start in 3 weeks and take Team of the Year. You never know. I mean, that's true, right, Brian? I mean,
it is true.
It's going to be fun.
I was joking with Brad about this, that this would be Tim's year because he's trailed off so much. He's only cooking, 20 a year or whatever, that this would be the year to cook 20 and win if you're a team like Shake and Bake. That's a very real possibility.
Well, I mean, Aaron, you're giving a lot of hope, right? I mean, you've got 1 GC, 2 reserves, and a bunch of thirds, right? So with that, I mean, that's a great resume, right? I mean, in your first place, there's a lot of times that, as you were saying, Chris, that if you don't have 10 GCs, you don't have a chance. So that's a lot of people's mindset is, well, I can't go get 10 GCs. But I mean, what's so cool about this year is you don't have to necessarily, but you just got to go out and be consistent every week. Have a good cook. I mean, you got to finish in the top 5, top 4, top 3, whatever. But
well, to speak to consistency, I mean, Aaron's the picture of consistency right now because he's in the top 10 every week and nobody else is really doing that. Guys like me and Boom, we're like winning or 20th, we're like somewhere in between. So, I'm in 4th, but I got 3 GCs and an RGC. If you told anybody that Aaron had a GC, 2 RGCs, and I had 4 GCs and an RGC, they'd be like, oh, so you're crushing him, right? But no, I'm 300 points behind the guy because he's in the top 7 roughly every week. You know what I mean? So, cooking consistency is going to be the key to this year. I mean, previous years you cook 50 comps and have 40 junk finishes and win team of the year if you really want to spend the money and go do it. Not saying that really anybody did that. Anybody that's won in the past couple of years is like cooked out of their mind, but it was possible.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. It's a lot of fun. And real quick, Janet, she says we still have some professional spots open for Smoke on the Falls. That's in Alabama, Gadsden, Alabama, September 18th, which I believe is the Royal weekend.
Yeah.
As we said, if the Royal doesn't happen, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on that weekend, because I know there's quite a few contests either that weekend, right, the weekend before, the weekend after, that a lot of people aren't able to cook or aren't going to cook because they're going to head to the Royal. But, Janet, I'm sure if things change, I'm sure you'll have a lot of people come filing into Gadsden, Alabama.
If I was going to bet, though, I would bet a ton amount of money that the Royal is going to happen. It's too close already to cancel something that big. I mean, they came out with a plan on how to make it work with the COVID rules, and so the fact that they've come out with that, I just would bet any amount of money that it's going to happen. Plus, they employ an entire team. They pay yearly salaries to make sure the Royal happens, and I can't imagine them not getting the revenue from that event. So I would say that's happening.
Well, I think to that, I saw an article today, and this, our governor had basically said that if we don't get our numbers go in the right direction, because they've been doing a lot more testing, cases have been going up. They're talking that they could go back to the phase 2, which would get rid of all festivals in Kansas, and I think that's our biggest risk for us. So we're knocking on wood. We're hoping that the rest of our government can kind of keep that from happening. So.
Well, I'll say this: the cases are going to go up because they're testing more people, and we're all in trouble. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Hopefully not. Chris, I'm with you. I'm hoping that you're right, and because that's what I want to see. I want to get back out there because it's an opportunity for me to be able to meet all you guys, right? I mean, Aaron, I got to meet you there. Chris, I'm sure if you're there, I get to see you. When else am I going to be able to see people that I've had on the show that other than at the Royal, right? So that's my opportunity to meet people face to face instead of just here on the show.
That's said before the show started. That's the best thing about the Royal. I was explaining it to one of my friends. I said, in one evening, I took a short walk and I hung out with a friend of mine from Michigan, and then a friend from Arkansas, and a friend from Kansas City, and a friend from Chicago, and I was able to hang out with people from all over the country in a 45-minute walk one night that I generally don't see, and that only happens at the Royal. Yeah,
and it's cool. I mean, all of us that love barbecue are there. Wes Garrett, real quick, wants to know: can one of y'all speak of the newly suggested points plan for next year? Is it official? I have no clue what he's talking about, so hopefully one of you do.
They're talking about adjusting the points chase, really splitting it up. I think in 3 or 4 segments next year. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, still an overall points chase leader, but it's really to appeal to the teams that cook only 5, and maybe they only cook in the spring. So if they come out and they have a great 5 cooks or 10 cooks in the spring, they have a shot at being that quarter winner. So I think that's the thought behind it. I don't know if they've finalized it. I don't mind it either way. If it's to get more people involved and really excited about running, even even if it's for one of those quarters, it's just more excitement around barbecue, and it is just barbecue. So it's a lot of fun, and we really enjoy it. And maybe we've got a little sickness in our heads running all over the country, but it's just a good time. I mean, we don't talk about the Royal as much as we do because, you know, it's just cooking. It's the family that we have.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, Travis Duffy, I'm going to take you up. I'm going to come over and get one of those breakfast caramel rolls from you. It sounds delicious. And
Yeah,
Dan, you are right. Say that again. Sorry.
Travis said, "Come over and have a coma." Apparently, it sounds like a lot of sugar.
Right.
They are delicious.
The Royal is the biggest barbecue family for sure, Dan. You know, it's a lot of fun, but barbecue as a whole is a lot of fun. Is a big family, and it's just a good time.
I like the idea of the points chase just from what Aaron said. It's all about inclusion. You know, there's so many people out there. And like when I started, and Aaron, when you started, how many were you cooking the first couple of years? Like 10, 12, maybe?
First couple years, man, 6 was our first year, 2 the second year, and then we did 14 a couple years, and then last year's 32.
Yeah. So in those early years, you know, I was, 6 and then, 12. And then, I really only hit KCBS hard the last couple of years, but you don't feel like you ever have a chance of catching a Brad Leininger. You know, you're like, that dude's going to cook between 25 and 40 comps. He's going to win a bunch of them, and I don't have a chance. So breaking it up into segments or regions or seasons or however they want to do it, if it gives somebody something to chase, if it gets a guy that cooks 5 to cook 8 and a guy that cooks 10 to cook 15, it's good for the sport of barbecue.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, like I see Beth just joined. She's the vice president of the GBC here in Georgia. To me, I feel like I have a chance to run a GBC points chase. Now that I'm going to win it, but that's something that I can strive for. The KCBS is harder, but if they do it in sections like that, that gives you an opportunity to say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go hit this hard, and see if I can do it for 3 months, right? And instead of having to go for a whole year. Like me, I have 2 kids in travel baseball. Anybody that's watched the show, y'all heard me talk about that. So I can't cook as much as I would like to, because I was at this weekend. I was going in 2 different baseball parks all weekend, back and forth. And I see Adam Gutierrez on too. It's Cajun Blaze. He's in the same boat. If Adam has an opportunity to go cook 5 or 6 contests in a week, we're all screwed, right? I mean, that dude's going to win them all. But it's one of those deals where that I think it's good, as you're saying, Chris and Aaron, give us an opportunity to go have something and still have the big thing where the overall where the team's cooking 40, 50 times a year can go knock it out.
They did some sort of competition at the end to where, like, hey, you were the top 5 in your segment. You get to go at the comp at the end, and then those guys get to go cook with the guys that cooked 40 a year. And I think about it kind of like the World Series of Poker, where all you got to do is put some money in and sit with the big boys. Those people would love to cook 10 comps and qualify to go cook next to Aaron and have a chance of beating him in a category or overall. I mean, right. It's a cool thing for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, because that's what we're all trying to do, right? I mean, Aaron, you're on top right now, so this is one of the deals where you're like, everybody's after you right now, and it's kind of fun, right? I mean, it's like, hey, let's go see what we can do, and for you is you got to feel good, like, hey, here we go. How long? I'm going to stay on top. How long can I do it? Adam, come on out to Georgia. I mean, it's not too far from you, Louisiana to Georgia. That wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Adam,
so you're done with baseball.
Stay home, man. We don't need you in a point place.
I believe he's coming up to the Royal with us, or he's going to be at the Royal this year. I'm looking forward to hanging out with him too. David Qualls, good feedback. Please respond if we're even talking about the right stuff. Let us know where we are. Let us know what we're talking about here. But yeah, that's what we're talking about. Paul Keltner just joined in. If y'all wanted to ask him, Paul, real quick, how many contests have you cooked this year? We're trying to figure that out.
I looked it up. He was at 11, so he has his.
Okay, so he's got his 10 in. Awesome.
Yeah. I was kind of to the point. We're talking about being able to cook with guys who are chasing and doing well. I mean, that's one thing that we've always gone after. We've never ducked a contest. I've never ducked a table. It's really that being able to go and cook head to head with the best. It's like while we're sitting here in the lead, I'm still chasing Matt, and I'm still chasing Brad, and I'm still chasing this guy. I know they're coming, and I know they're coming pretty hard. So I just have to have a head start to maybe stay in the race. So, and that's kind of where we are. But, being able to win a section and then go and cook against big guys, I think that's exciting.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to change directions just a little bit. Aaron, I'll start with you. What is your favorite category to cook?
Brisket. I just enjoy brisket, just eating it. It's the hardest category, I think, for a lot of cooks, but briskets definitely are my favorite to cook.
Can you tell us a little bit about your brisket?
Well, it's my flavor profile. It's using the bold and beefy injection and our Texas style rub and our sweet and smoky sauce. That's our 3 ingredients. It's pretty basic. It's just cooking it right.
Yeah, for sure. Chris, what's your favorite category?
I'll tell you, like I tell everybody, I got more trophies on the wall for chicken than anything else, but I think I like cooking brisket more. I think, when you nail a brisket, it's different than any other category. Like, I feel like, cooking chicken, ribs, and pork, I'm always within fractions of being as good as I can get with cooking that right. But brisket's up and down. You know what I mean? Like, you can score well with a slightly undercooked or slightly overcooked and be okay. But when you nail it, it's just a good feeling to know that you just nailed that brisket.
And to that point, when you nail a brisket and you perfectly cook it, it tastes different without any of the other stuff on it. It's kind of like that shining moment. You're like, oh my gosh, this is what brisket's supposed to taste like.
I did that this weekend in Lane, and man, it was just so perfect to where my dad tried it with no sauce or nothing. It was like, holy cow, this is insane. And I put it in the box. I was so proud of it. We sent it, and it gets down to first place, and I was like, here I go. Like, this is my first 180 brisket, and then I end up getting 15th. So, you don't always hit where you think you did, but like this weekend, man, I nailed that brisket, and it felt good to nail it, whether you got the score or not.
Yeah.
Because that score is going to come, right? That score is going to show up eventually.
Well, that's what I try to explain to any new team is like, this is 100% a numbers game. Like, all you can do is cook to the best of your abilities. Always try to, get everything within fractions of being as good as it was the week before, and hope you get good tables. And that's really it. And sometimes people just don't like your stuff. I mean, I cooked 3 comps in Indiana this year and got beat up in every one of them. But I was cooking great food. So, I mean, not everybody's going to like your stuff. You just got to keep cooking and know that the numbers are going to work out in your favor.
Right. So one thing I hear both of you saying, sauce, right? So
Yep.
You got sauce. Both of you said you sauced their brisket. Chris, you said before you sauce the brisket. Aaron, you told the sauce you use. So what kind of sauce are you using for your brisket? Now, let me rephrase that. Sorry. What is the flavor profile of the sauce that you're using? You don't tell me your sauce. Don't tell me any of that kind of stuff. Just the flavor.
I was going to say Sweet Baby Ray's.
There you go. I like that.
I actually, I take a pretty sweet and pretty smoky sauce. The only reason I'm not using Aaron's right now is because I can't buy it in a bottle. And he'll give me all I want, but it's hard for me to chase down gallons from Aaron when he's still in the process of producing it. So he gave me a gallon to play with, man. It'll be my brisket sauce when it's on the shelves. But so I'm using something pretty similar to that. That's sweet and smoky, but I'm cutting it with a ton of juice. Like, I want to have a beefy brisket with just a hint of that sweet, just a hint of that sauce. So, I mean, I'm probably 80-20 to drippings to sauce,
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I'll soak it in the au jus and touch my brush into the sauce, dip it in the au jus, put it on. I mean, it's saucing the tops before I slice, and then putting a little bit on the faces. Just not too much. I don't like sweet brisket, so I want it to be beefy, but I want it to be complemented just a little bit.
Makes sense. Got some other good questions real quick. Brian Payton asked, which categories do you think meat selection means the most? Not just black versus gold brisket or compart versus commodity. Which one do you place the most importance on a quality cut?
You want that, Aaron, or you want me to go?
Briskets for me. I mean, hands down brisket. It doesn't matter if it's gold or black. It's the marbling in that piece of meat. And yeah, I'm an 18 to 20 gold guy, but I've cooked some blacks, especially this season. But yeah, that's the biggest one, I think.
And I think personally, I think it's ribs. The reason I say that is because I can go to my sponsor or SRF and get an 18 to 20 gold, or I can cook an A9 and I know it's going to be pretty good. And every one that comes in the package, I cut it open and I cook. The reason I say ribs is because no matter how many ribs you get, you're going to always look through them and be like, well, I ain't using that rack and I ain't using this one, you know, and there's always going to be some where it's thin or it's thick. And I think I'm way pickier on which ribs I'm going to take to a comp than I am anything else. But basically, because I know if I order an SRF 20, it's going to be good enough for me to cook, you know?
Yeah, it's true. I like that. Good. That's good. And then chicken, just real quick, thighs or legs?
Thighs.
Okay. And y'all are both from the Midwest, right? Y'all, I mean, that's so.
Yep.
So down here in the Southeast, you see a lot of legs, right? I mean, Alabama's got a lot of legs. Georgia's got a lot of legs. How many teams do y'all know cooking legs out in y'all's area?
I know a decent amount, but like, if you know Rob Honke, who co-hosts my podcast with me, he switched the legs this year, and he's only cooked one comp with them, but he got second in chicken outside of St. Louis. So I don't think people are afraid to score them well. But me and Aaron talked this weekend. I think it's hard to nail a leg, where I think a lot of us are getting thighs fairly easily.
Paul, I'm not hating on legs. Not hating on legs, Paul.
Ask Paul how many calls he's got with legs this year. Does he need me to look it up?
I mean, I'm not hating on legs. I have said, I mean, if anybody's ever heard me talk, I think a perfectly cooked leg is going to beat a perfectly cooked thigh any day of the week. But I do believe it's harder to cook a perfectly cooked leg than it is a thigh. I think a thigh has more, my opinion, what do I know? I feel like a thigh has more room for error. Travis, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say absolutely. Just the muscle makeup of that thigh versus the leg. I mean, I know in the leg, you think about the leg of a chicken is like your calf, right? It is just those muscles and how the lobes of those muscles, take a bite of that and it just all comes out in your mouth all at one time, most of the time, unless you are like Paul and can cook it perfectly, you know.
Every time.
Every time.
That's one thing about Paul Kellner. I mean, he's just him and Lynn both. Those two, they're incredible. Real quick.
Before, not to jump off that, Aaron mentioned the brisket, and Travis asked a question about guys that can't afford Wagyu and cooking prime.
That's what I was going to get to. Go for it.
So I think all of it is about cooking meat perfectly, and I don't care what cut you're doing. It's all about cooking meat perfectly. you guys know Tim Axe with Caroloo's Barbecue out of Illinois, does very well. He's got a barbecue restaurant and he cooks primes in his restaurant. So he cooks, I'm not even going to guess at the number. I mean, 30, 40, 60 a week. Hell, I don't know. But he cooks primes in competitions because that's what he's used to cooking. And every comp I go to, I try his primes and they're out of this world good. So I think if you can't afford Wagyu, just make sure you know how to cook a prime. Just get it cooked right.
Well, that's what Adam Gutra, he said, Travis Moore, find a great prime brisket and cook it perfect, and you can be in the mix against Wagyus all the day. I've done it plenty of times, right?
Yeah.
I think that window of perfection is smaller. You know, I mean, I think if you're cooking a 20-pound gold and you miss it a little under and a little over, you can slice it properly and get it in a box and still be top 10. I think that window is smaller on a prime, but if you cook it right, you're going to be in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Tom, I don't know much, if you're wondering. But anyway, that's so going back to ribs, Chris, since you said ribs, are you what kind of ribs do you cook?
I'm a compart guy.
Okay. I am too.
But I as picky as I am on ribs too, it seems like every comp I go to, I've got like 2 racks I'm in love with and one that I don't hate and one that I hate. And I end up cooking the one that I hate perfectly and it seems to score okay. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody gets to a competition with the 4 most beautiful racks I've ever seen every time. I know I know Aaron cooks another brand that he prefers a lot to Compart.
Yeah.
What's that?
We cook Prairie Fresh, and we actually were fortunate enough to win a prize pack Compart butts, and I cooked 4 Compart butts next to Prairie Fresh butts, and me personally, I couldn't tell the difference between the two. The marbling was pretty crazy. I actually had Chris come in my trailer and asked me.
He had me come in and quizzed me on which one was Compart, and I picked the wrong one. So as much as I want to say Compart's a superior pork, I mean, not that day. I mean, I picked a big, beautiful Prairie Fresh, and Aaron was probably lying to me. I don't know. I mean, but,
nope.
You know.
That's awesome. Well, I'm a fan of Compart, and partly because their customer service has been really good. Not that the others aren't. That's just the experience that I've had. They've done some things to help me out. So, you know, I'm a fan, and you know, but you know, anytime, I mean, that also goes into it. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
But going back to brisket, both of you mentioned Snake River Farms, and then Aaron, you also mentioned A9s. Do you have a preference one way or the other? Or, I mean,
I've actually never cooked an A9. I know Chris has.
Yeah.
I've only cooked Snake Rivers from a Wagyu perspective, and I take that back. Early on, there was another Wagyu farm around here that I cooked 1 or 2, but yeah, for the most part, Snake River has been ours. And to Brian, to your point, the customer service, you know, and I haven't spent a whole lot of time with Kevin and his team down there in Pensacola, but you know, I've always had good success with Snake River, so not changing.
Yeah, the only A9s I cooked was down there at Smoking with Smithfield. They provided those. I cooked 3 of them, and I mean, I didn't see a big difference. Like, they were beautiful briskets. They had a ton of awesome marbling, and they turned out fantastic. I won brisket the first day with the A9, and I think the point actually turned out better than some of the SRFs that I'd cooked. You know, but I mean, I think it's apples to apples. I don't really think there's a big difference. And if you're able to get them from Kevin and they're good briskets, I say do that. SRF's been good to me. Anella's a sweet lady too. So I'm a fan of SRF.
right. I mean, I've cooked them both. I think they're both good. Pit Hustle Barbecue on YouTube has asked, on brisket, do you trim to the box or do you cook it and then trim down to the box after cooked? So when you're trimming it, are you cooking box size so you don't have to trim it up, or are you trying to?
I'll let Aaron start that, since Pit Hustle's my sponsored team and they've taken my class. So
Aaron knows the answer. He's just digging for something, right? No, we've done. Yeah, we've done both. This year, I've really focused on trimming to the size of the box, and if I can pull that off and cook those edges perfectly, that's what we've been doing. But I've docked the edges before, and it doesn't seem to affect the score either way.
There you go.
I'm going to trim to slightly bigger than the box, knowing that I'm going to plump it up and it's going to shrink and I'm going to get it in there. I try to follow the grain of the meat. You know, sometimes on the backside of that brisket on the point, there's a real loose meat that when you cook it, it's going to fan out real weird on you. And so if I got to take that off and be more narrow in that box, I will. If it makes more sense to leave it wide, I'll hope it shrinks up to the box. If not, then I'll dock it. But I think a lot of times you got to follow what the brisket gives you and follow those grains more than anything.
So to answer the question, you don't think it matters for the
No, I mean, I try to trim to the box, but I've docked it in one brisket. So, I mean, I don't really think it matters.
Nice. So I want to go to pork real quick. Pork, the big question that we've had on this show a couple of times is, how much meat are you putting in the box? Are you loading the box up, or are you putting the best 6 pieces or whatever you want to say into the box? Chris, I'll let you start this time.
Yeah, so I used to turn in money muscle pulled in chunks. I made some really pretty boxes, you know, and they're really full. The only perfect I ever got in my life was the pork box with pulled chunks and slices. But I just felt like it was giving them too many things to judge. And it was one of those things that if all of them wasn't a 9, then I was getting an 8. And so I've really backed off to just pulled and slices. And if I have to, I'll run just slices. But for the most part, I'm pulled and slices.
So you're okay. Good.
Yeah,
how about you?
I'm the same way. We've done basically 3 different boxes this year. Either just a whole box of money muscle. We've done that a couple times where wasn't really liking the pull, but now we're just doing pulled and slices. And I like to give the judges a little bit of option. I know there's a lot of people who are like, I'm just going to put the 6 best pieces in, but I don't want that last judge to not have a choice. So, I think I want to go into their mindset saying, hey, this guy is confident enough in what he's putting in the box. He's giving me an option, not just the only option. I know there's some guys who will disagree with that, but keeps the meat hot, and I like to showcase that we can cook more than just 6 pieces.
Right.
I like to put in 2 rows essentially of money muscle with 5 slices of each. I don't want 6 of each to make them think they have to take 1 of each, if that makes sense. And so I like to put 5 in each row. That way they know they just got to take 1 of them. And if there's extra at the end, they can take 2. I don't really care if they're good, they're good. And then I turn enough pulled that they can get that. But I've seen some of these boxes that have so much freaking pork in it that I wouldn't even know where to begin as a judge. And I just give them good slices and pulled.
It's interesting you said that, because for myself, I've gone to where I was putting down either 4 or 5 layers, because I normally do the same thing. I'll put 2 different money muscles down, 2 different, and I've got to where I was putting 4, 5 if it worked. But I didn't want to do the 6 and 6, because that way, they're only taking 1 piece instead of taking 2 of them and everything else. But that does seem to be pretty crazy the way that things are going. Now, Aaron, you mentioned that you had rubs and sauces coming out, correct?
Yep.
Chris, you already have an established line of rubs, right?
Yep.
Tell me about the white label and the black label. How are they doing these days?
Doing very well. I haven't pushed them as much as I've needed to. My life's been so busy with what's going on. I've got them into a lot of the barbecue stores online, and there's a few places around St. Louis you can pick them up as far as retail. But I got the white label that is, it's kind of like me and Aaron have 2 very different, or 4 very different rubs, but it's the same idea. My white label is kind of like his Kansas City. You can use it on everything. And then my black label is kind of designed for beef, but we're kind of finding that works for a pop on everything. Like in our food truck, we season our chips, our mac and cheese, our tots. We season all that stuff with black label because it just adds a nice pop. And then I use black label as a finishing rub on my chicken, which sounds crazy because it's a brisket rub, but that's kind of what they're designed for. But you can mix the 2 together. You can do a lot of different things with them. But I've got a lot of teams that have got a lot of calls with them and been pretty successful. And that's a cool thing to have them using it and tell you that they use it and they do well. It's also, which it's cool. I know Aaron's already doing it, but it's cool to go to your bag and there you go. It's cool to go to your bag and pick up your rub that you made and put it on something and get a call. It's a cool feeling.
Yep. I know Ellen would say, hey, can you change the top to one of the rub bottles or whatever? But hey, whatever. That's just me on speaking for her. She might be watching. They look so similar pulling them.
I've talked to so many people about that. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make the white label almost like the negative of the black label. So instead of that background, be like a white background, like a whitewashed wood kind of, But I was talking to Joe Pierce about it today or yesterday or this weekend. I gave him 2 bottles and I said, don't tell me I need to change the label. It's already in the mix. I was like, but I own 4,000 labels and you better believe that those 4,000 are going out before I make new labels.
No kidding. That's awesome. Yeah. So when you were talking about your describing yours, I was thinking what you just said, Chris. It's like, okay, so it sounds like a white label and it sounds like a black label, the heavy smoke. And there's a lot of that going on right now. There's a lot of good rubs, and they're similar, but they're not the same. I guarantee you, Aaron, your rubs are going to be popping just a little different than Chris's, and you can use them different ways. So just because they seem to be the same guys, you need to try both of them. And I'm going to be over on Aaron. I don't know if he's going to let us sell his product or not. but I understand your situation with Casey Grilling Company. But if you are opening it up, we'd love to have your sauces or your rubs and sauces on the site.
Sure.
But Chris, we have your products. They sell well. And guys, you need to try some of these things. I know at the beginning of this, I think it was Lincoln Andrews. No, it was, maybe it was Lincoln. I think it was Lincoln said that he practiced this weekend with a white label, and great product. So, and we've got a lot of people on here saying white label. I have heard from more teams talk about the black label as a finish and rub or as something else. So that was interesting what you said, Chris, that you do the same thing. A lot of people have mentioned the black label as something that people use for finishing rubs or even chicken, like y'all are talking about. It's so funny. See, now all of a sudden the black label talk is coming in.
I agree with Paul. Of Chris's rubs, and I think white label is his number one seller. Black label is my favorite of his.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a good rub, and I there's even beyond beef or chicken. There's I ran it straight on ribs, and it was pretty good. So I think a lot of people, and that's one thing about us when we were coming out with the rub and trying to think of a name, I didn't want to put it in its own little box to say this is my pork rub or this is my brisket rub, because they're great on a lot of things. And I think a lot of people get scared to just think outside of that box and put it on really anything. It's, Philip Breeden was on last weekend, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
And I know he struggles with that on naming, and it's like, this is what I use, and it's all purpose rub. Really all the rubs are all purpose rubs.
Yep.
If it's just a SPG, put it out there and put it on really anything you want. But
I had this conversation with Paul from Rooters and Tutors last week. Is that?
Oh,
it's like Chris got frozen.
okay, Chris is frozen. Maybe he'll be back.
Yeah.
You mentioned Phil Breeden last week. Man, what a great guy! What a great show. There's so much to all his stuff that it's just incredible. His products. So if you missed that show, y'all might want to go back and watch it. Aaron, you said, you're the one that brought it up. I thought he was a great show, and it was interesting the way he did his labels and everything else. That's what's funny about when you were talking about it. I was thinking what we're talking about now is what I was thinking when you were describing your rubs is it's used for this, it's used for that. And, I think there's a lot of times that people have their rubs that they're designed for one thing, but people nowadays are practicing experimenting with everything. So if you say you designed it for brisket, that's not going to stop people from putting it on pork or rib or anything, right?
Yeah,
or chicken,
right.
And you're seeing it can go on anything. So.
Sure. Well, and that's just like our Texas style. It has been exclusively our brisket rub, and it's great on steak. It's really great on beef, but we were just kind of struggling in chicken, and I'm like, I'm going to change the rub up, and I started using our Texas style on our chicken thighs, and man, the judges are loving it. It creates a little bit more pop. It's a touch of pepper, a little bit of heat, and it just has a really good balance to it. And it's just been crazy at how our rubs have evolved from the time we started. And we've been, ever since 2014 when we started cooking, we've been using our own rub. And in fact, last year we had a couple teams come to us, and we started out real strong. We had two GCs to start the year, last in 2019. And I had a team come up to me and say, yeah, we were going to have an intervention with you to tell you to stop using your own stuff. And then, we were doing so well that he's like, now we need to figure out what you're using, because I want to use it. And so, it's a labor of love for us. I've always wanted to use our stuff to compete, because, barbecue has a lot of science to it. People say time, temp, what's your flavor profile, whatever. Putting your own touch, your own rub, your own sauce, that's where the art in barbecue can come in, and we've just really taken it and said, this is what we're going to do. And we finally gotten it there.
Awesome. So how did you go about developing your rubs?
Started with salt, sugar, pepper, paprika. I mean, we really, I think I even have still some of the very original rub that I made. If I haven't thrown it away, and taste it, it's terrible. And it's just been a reading and learning, what goes on in a flavor profile, have no culinary background at all, just like cooking and like eating food, and so we've just tweaked it little by little until we've dialed it in, and that's how we've done it. It's just been trial and error, and then running it at comps and seeing how it works, and that's been what we've done. I know, I would go and I would taste rubs just to kind of develop my palate, just sit in a barbecue store and just use their sample bottles and taste everything until I blew up my taste buds so much that I couldn't taste anything anymore. But it's just really been like, okay, that's kind of what seems to make sense. But it just got into our flavor profile and what we like.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then it just developed from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing talking to Heath Riles when he talked about all his different rubs. It's all based off of one rub, right? It was based off of one thing, and then he kept developing it more and more and more.
Yeah, our Texas style is actually a takeoff of our Kansas City style. We developed the one rub, and then we're like, oh, we needed something for beef, and like, well, we just need to up the salt, pepper, and see if we can't do that. And so that's it. We tweaked it enough. If you taste them side by side, they don't taste like each other, but they're different in their own way, and I think they're really good, but
good.
A little partial.
So you're ready. You're ready with the bullseye on your back, ready to finish off this year, huh?
Yeah. Well, I don't think we have a choice.
No, I don't think so.
We're there, so we just have to run with it and run them with red, I guess.
That's awesome. Well, Chris is coming back. Let's see if we get Chris. Chris, before we lose you again, I want to make sure. Is there anything else you want to push? I know you've mentioned your podcast a couple of times. I would like for you to talk about that. See if, I know they've heard of it, but go ahead and push that real quick.
Yeah, so that's it's called All That for 6 Pieces Barbecue Show. We got a website that doesn't stay real updated because I'm in charge of it. We have a Facebook page, All That for 6 Pieces Barbecue Show. That was something that was born out of COVID. We were bored and had nothing to do, and my buddy Rob had another podcast that he had all the equipment for, and that we do that I don't know if I could even plug on this show. It gets pretty crazy, but. So we just started out of nowhere. We've been on hiatus for a few weeks right now, just so busy. I had a couple doubles and all the stuff's going on with my house and things, but I think we're going to try to get some recorded this week. But it's been fun. I know you're probably in the same boat from doing this. It's just a good time doing them. They're fun.
Yeah, I love doing this. This has been Chewin the BBQ Fat has been a lot of fun. I've been able to meet a lot of people, even through here, even through. Doing these videos. It's a lot of fun to where when I do get to see y'all in person, it's like, hey man, I feel like I already know you.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping our viewers or whatever they are, people watching feel the same way. Like hopefully people come up and they see who you are. Like Aaron is the #1 team in the country, and he's a down to earth, good guy. He's not, as you can tell, he's not somebody that you need to be afraid to go up and talk to at a contest, right? Just a good dude. A lot of people talk about when they first get into it, I think they have this fear or whatever of, man, I'm going to bother them if I go talk to them. And one thing I want to do is let people know y'all are real people, right? I got 2 of the best cooks in the country on right now, and we're just having a good conversation about barbecue. And I know anybody that comes up to you and talks to you and asks you for advice, you're going to give it to them, right?
Well, we were also in one time, we were that new guy that was cooking 6 a year and not getting calls. And, we were watching people go over for a 922 shot, wondering what they were doing and when we would get invited. I mean, we were all that team at one point, and so, we want to be, we talked about inclusion earlier, we want everybody to enjoy what we're doing as much as we do, because obviously we're passionate about it.
Mm-hmm. So Aaron, what would you tell maybe not necessarily a new team, but an up and coming team, or somebody, even a new team, somebody that's out there? What would you tell them? What kind of advice would you tell them?
Man, it just cook a little bit, go take a class. There's so much information out there. I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but we started a YouTube channel and put out our rib recipe for the most part on YouTube. But there's so much in resource out there. Don't be afraid to walk up to a new, an experienced team and just ask questions. And one thing I really take is, if you're going to do it, be respectful of the advice that you get. And sometimes it's just hanging around. You'll hear things at a comp, just sitting around like this at a fire. You'll hear little tips, little tidbits that you could pick up. But, just store that in the back of your mind. When you get back to your space, write it down and tweak and play with that. So, just be respectful of the people who've paid their dues and gotten there. But you'll know that they'll still give you advice as long as it's not abused.
That's good. One thing, it's interesting you said that. A lot of times you hear a lot of new teams come up, well, I do this, I do that. But as you're trying to help them, and it's like, well, what you just said is gold. Go back, write it down, because eventually we all know that you know more than everybody as the new people, right? You got the best stuff. All your neighbors love your food and blah, 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 blah. You're going to get to a point and come back and be like, man, what did he just say? Or I remember sitting around talking to Aaron and he said this, Blaine Hunter's on here. I had an opportunity to cook behind him in Cumming, Georgia, a couple of years ago. And I just sat there and talked to him and listened. I mean, that was when he came down just to, I think he was winning, and all he needed was a top 3 for ribs or something. And I just sat there and talked to him. And an incredible guy. And just, it's one of those deals where it's like, man, just soak it in and then write it. That's the best thing you can say. Just go back and write it down and take it for another day. But Chris, what would you say?
I'm going to tell you one of my biggest pet peeves. All right. So, I have a lot of people bring me their food to try, and I'm cool with that. I think Aaron is too. Bring your food over. Let me try it. Let me give you some feedback on it. My biggest pet peeve is not bringing it to me how you gave it to the judges. I don't know how often that happens. Somebody comes over and goes, hey, man, you tried my brisket? And I'm like, well, it kind of needs something. They're like, well, that didn't have the finish rub on it. Well, dude, go back to your trailer and put the finish rub on it. Like, if you want me to try something, present it to me like you did the judges. But that's just my pet peeve. The other thing I would just say is cook. Just cook a lot. You hear these guys have been around a long time that say they don't practice anymore. They all practice in some sort of, aspect or another. But I'm not that guy. I still practice like a madman. So, if you got a category that's not hitting and you're only cooking at comps, how many comps are going to take you to figure it out? So I just say cook a lot and figure out how to cook meat, because it's all a tenderness game. That's
awesome. That if there's been anything that's been said over and over and over again, figure out tenderness, knock out the tenderness, and tenderness is going to make the game a lot easier for you.
Yeah, and every piece of meat's different. You could put 4 identical pork butts, same weight, trimmed out exactly the same, on the smoker all at the same time, do exactly the same thing to every one of them, and they'll still come off the pit at a different time. So understanding and knowing when that's done, it's just, I think Tuffy Stone made a comment. He's like, experience isn't how long you've been cooking, it's how big your ash pile is. So just go out and burn some wood and, burn some meat. It's really the only way to learn. It's just time and experience doing that, and paying attention to the meat, not not a temperature gauge or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think about like Brian, how many comps do you normally cook a year on average?
8 to 10.
All right, let's say 10. How many times do you think you practice brisket in a year? Like a true Wagyu competition style brisket?
2.
So that's 12. Aaron cooked 36 comps last year. That's 3 times as much. At that pace, how long is it going to take you to know what Aaron knows in 1 year? That's 3 years. So it's hard to catch the big boys that are cooking 40 a year and practicing. You know, if I've cooked 50 briskets this year and you've cooked 10, you're
Right.
5 years behind. And when you get there, I'm at hundreds and hundreds of briskets. So it's all about figuring out how to cook meat properly. And if it takes cooking a lot and spend a lot of money, then you have to do that. Also, you know, chasing points isn't for everybody. You know, I mean, if you want to be that guy that cooks 10 a year and you get some calls here and there, that's fine. But if you want to be in the points race, I mean, you're going to spend a few $1,000s in the winter practicing meat to make sure that you hit the season hot.
Exactly. And that's something that I tell people that all the time. Go cook. Just go cook. I mean, you know, I think it makes a big difference when people are out there cooking, just trying new things, and it makes a huge difference. And I love it. I mean, I don't claim to be, you know, going for anything. You know, for us, the barbecue store now is taking off, and it's been a big thing for us. And we're, you know, a lot of times we're cooking, we're going out there to do well, obviously, but we're also thanking customers and everything else. So,
but also, you know, people always say they can't afford to practice. And so if you can only afford a Wagyu brisket at a comp, how many slices of brisket do you have left over after you turn a box in? A good amount. So run what you know, turn it in, sit out 5 slices, put 3 different sauces on it, 3 different finishes rub, and try your leftovers right there on the spot. That can be a practice for your next comp. You don't have to go home and spend $200 on a Wagyu brisket for the next weekend to practice.
Guys, if y'all don't take anything else, what Chris just said is golden. That is golden. Take that, run with it this weekend. Because I know this weekend cooking and coming and hogging on the near. There's a lot of teams that are cooking this contest that don't cook a ton, right? And I know some of them are watching or will be watching this. Take that advice. Whatever you have left over, use it. Don't just throw it away. Don't just hand it off to people. Use that and try different rubs, try different processes and everything. Because both of you can sit there and tell me, and I know you're going to say this, but what you do on the cutting board right before you turn it in matters, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where comp is won and lost 100% of the time.
The difference between me now and me now and me 3 years ago is the last 15 minutes before everything goes into the box. Like years ago, I'd cook it right and my flavor would be close, and I'd be like, it is what it is, and I'd get some calls and I'd win some comps. But now it's like, all right, I can fix this, or I can make this better. I can make good turn into great. I can make great turn into 180. I can make shit turn into a 170 if I need to. You know, that's the difference between me now and me 3 years ago.
And that's a big difference.
Yeah. Right. I saw a comment. I think Travis asked about new teams and getting sponsorships.
Oh yeah, that was when Chris was coming and going. I'm sorry, I meant to get to that.
Yeah, no worries. But you know, really for that, you know, and we're sponsored by the Kansas City Grilling Company here locally. It's our only sponsorship that we've had, you know, ever since we've been cooking. But it's one of those things. You've got to bring something to the table for whomever you're sponsoring. It even if you're winning and doing well and you're out there competing, you've got to give them back something that makes sense business-wise to multiply the effort, right? You know, so it doesn't matter if it's a real estate agent friend that you have that wants to help you with a couple $100 for a comp or whatever. You know, don't be afraid to ask, but also you don't necessarily need the big time sponsorship to compete. You know, just I think Mike Peterson sold, you know, square inch spaces for his trailer, you know, trying to raise money. I think he was selling for $5 a square inch or whatever it was, but just little things, be creative. And, you know, find people who who do rubs and sauces and commit to go tell them, hey, I'll commit to cooking your stuff. But you might want to start cooking with their stuff before asking them,
Yeah.
and show that you're committed to them.
Also, if you win with, you say you're using Aaron's stuff and you're winning with it, call him and say, hey, man, not only am I going to advertise that I'm using it, I know of 5 barbecue stores in my area that you aren't close enough to get to. I'll go knock on their doors and try to get them to carry your rub. It's an hour's worth of work that could maybe make Aaron a lot of money on his rub that he didn't have to personally do.
Yeah, we have a lot of people ask us to be sponsored teams, and they've never bought from us.
Well, I have a problem with sponsors in general that, like, it's all about ROI for them, but a lot of times there's not enough in it for a team anyways. And sometimes you get home and you're tagging 800 different things. You feel like a NASCAR driver, and so I'm under the belief that I'm only going to be sponsored by something that I truly believe in. Like my sponsor, Cordy Meat out of Highland, Illinois, is a family-run company that does amazing things for their community, and they always got their hand in trying to help the barbecue world. And so I'm happy to rep their flag. You know what I mean? So you got to believe in that. Don't just take on anything to say that you're sponsored.
Yeah, I mean, we had Matt Walker with Boomerang on. He would have a lot to say about that. He has a lot to say about the whole sponsorship, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't disagree with him on. Maybe one day I'll have him on and we can talk about that. But yeah, so Blade Hunter said return on investment. Yes, big time yes from Stan. And I don't know this answer, so I'll ask them. Why are there not a lot of KCBS contests in Texas, other than the fact that IBCA is huge there?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few not quite a few, but there's a decent amount in northern Texas. But I think IBCA just rules that world down there.
Yeah. That's really the only thing that I can think of. It's just not having the organizers that want to run the KCBS flag down there instead of doing the IBCA thing.
And from what I understand, IBCA is a very well run sanctioning body, and they do a great job. And Bill, I know I think you were commenting last week, Phil.
Yeah, Bill does quite well down there in IBCA, kind of killing it. So
yeah, I think he's like number 2 or 2 or 3 moving into this, or maybe even number 1 right now after the new season.
Well, IBCA is so big. They have like 5 regions, and they do team of the years for each region. I mean, it's a big organization down there.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I've had people ask about BCA. BCA is a big organization in Louisiana and stuff like that. And I know they're trying to grow too. So just a lot of great barbecue out there. And
I'm all about cooking those different sanctioning bodies. As a lot of people know, I came from the St. Louis Barbecue Society before, going basically full KCBS. And I mean, a lot of those are great for kind of getting your feet wet and then maybe chasing points over there. But they're just as competitive as any of them. Every one of those sanctioning bodies has amazing teams that can cross over and beat anybody. So I like supporting those smaller sanctioning bodies.
Richard, Chris hasn't smiled the whole day. I don't know what's going on there.
Hi, Rich.
Oh, me. Thanks for watching that, guys. No, it's been a lot of fun tonight talking, and like I said at the beginning, 2 of the best cooks in the country. You got the number 1 guy cooking, the number 1 KCBS team, and one of the hottest teams coming right after him. And it was funny how we got started. Chris is like, I'm after you. We're putting the pressure on. We're coming to get you here. And then Aaron's like, bring it. I ain't got nothing to hide. This is my game. Y'all are just chasing me. No, I'm just kidding. I put those words in his mouth.
I put those words in my mouth too.
Yeah, I would tell you the anxiety levels are a lot higher now than they have been in the past. So I know there's a lot of horses running behind me that are a little faster and stronger. So
hey, you keep doing what you're doing.
We mentioned Fergola. He's only cooked a couple of comps. If that dude wanted to put it on right now and cook, 10 or 15 of these things, he'd be right there in the mix with us too, So there's a lot of teams that could still get into this hunt and surprise everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I tell you what, I'm going to tell you right now here on the Chewin the BBQ Fat, I'm going to make sure that I keep everybody up to date on what's going on with this points chase. because I do believe it's going to be one of the best points. I mean, last year was a lot of fun too. Watch after Boomerang got the whatever the highest total, and then you started seeing some people like, oh man, can they get? And then what he did in brisket at the end of the season was just incredible. So, but a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun at the end of the year. And I'm going to let y'all. I know I've held y'all on way too long tonight, guys, and I did not mean to keep up your whole evening. But I do want to thank y'all for coming on tonight. It's been a great show and it's a lot of fun. But it's going to be fun, guys. I wish both of you the best of luck moving forward. And y'all are going to rock it out. I know you will. It's going to be, like I say, it's going to be fun to watch. Hopefully at the Royal, I'll be able to see all of you. But if there's anything else, guys, how can people get in touch with you if they want to watch, if they want to get in touch with you for any questions?
Go ahead, Chris.
All right. So my Facebook, HeavySmokeBBQ.com, or my website, HeavySmokeBBQ.com. I'm Heavy Smoke BBQ on Facebook as well. And then check out all that for 6 Pieces Barbecue Show to listen to our podcast, which I think we're going to have a couple shows coming up. We're going to record a couple this week. So
and you normally drop those on Thursdays, correct?
Yeah, we have been. You know, we have less structure and we're the least professional podcast in barbecue. I guarantee it. I just keep canceling on guests and things. And last week we had Luke, not last week, 2 weeks ago, we had Luke Darnell lined up to record a show. And about 40 minutes for the show, Honky called me and goes, "Hey, I got stung by a hornet. I'm allergic. I'm on my way to the hospital." I was like, how do I explain that to Luke? Like, "Hey, sorry, man, co-host in the hospital. We'll get you next week."
Well, I hope he's feeling better.
He's good.
Yeah. For us, you can find us Facebook, Man Meat Barbecue, Instagram, The Real Man Meat Barbecue, our website, TheRealManMeatBarbecue.com, YouTube, The Real Man Meat Barbecue. And so we'll get videos going again. We've had some editor setbacks, but we'll get those videos going and rolling again as well. So
awesome. And like I say, Aaron, if you're able, let me know. Get in touch with me. We'd love to sell your product. I hear it sounds like it's going to be great stuff. But if not, get in touch with Aaron and get it and use it and get some of the best products out there available, guys.
I do have our rubs up on our website. So we'll take pre-orders up until I'm ready to. Once it's live, then I'll ship them out. But you can go to the realmanmeatbarbecue.com. Page is still being tweaked, but the shopping is live there. So
yeah, the pre-orders will be filled right after he sends me the first case. So
awesome. And if you want to, Aaron, if you want to get in there and type in the comments somewhere or something along those lines, where people can get it. But anyway, y'all have a great night. Thanks for everybody for watching. Like I say, like our page, Facebook page, share it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Atlanta Barbecue Store, and guys, thanks a lot. Aaron, Chris, hopefully see you soon. Good luck, and thanks again, everybody. Hope you have a great night. See you next week.
See you.
See y'all.
Good luck.